Just start recording. Okay, and now we're going to go live. I think, yeah, live on Facebook. Okay.
Zabiera mal. Esqueci de pôr o áudio. Alguém está saindo da casa de banho e eu estou mesmo. Dê-me umas agonias.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome to another PALCUS webinar. We are super happy to be here, answering lots of questions about how to become a Portuguese citizen. This is part 2. If you missed part 1, go to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. It is there where we had Sabrina and Marcia from Portugal Solutions run through all the different ways that you can become a citizen. So go ahead and check that out. And today we will just be answering questions that came from that session. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. If you are on Zoom with us today, then you can ask a question in the chat. But if you are following us on Facebook, then type your questions into the Facebook feed and we will try to answer them live here today. Today's presenters are Marcia, Sabrina, and Monique. And so I'll have each of them just give a brief intro to themselves and their company. So we'll start with Marcia and Sabrina.
Sabrina. Hi, my name is Sabrina. Marcia and I started Portugal Solutions a little under a year ago. Obviously, I'm very young, so people always question how I got started in all of this. I did my undergrad at Rhode Island College and decided to do an internship at the Vice Consul in Providence, where Marcia was the Vice Consul at the time. After that, I went to Portugal, worked for the government in Lisbon, did my studies there, came back, and Marcia and I decided to launch Portugal Solutions, where we do a bunch of different services for the Portuguese community. One of the biggest ones we do is Portuguese citizenship. Marcia, a little background.
Yeah, as Sabrina said, I'm Azorian. I was born in Azores, San Miguel, Rapid Page. Immigrated to the United States in 2008, started to work at the consulate as an assistant. After I was appointed for 4 years as a vice consulate, and after I decided to start my own office. That's why we are located in East Providence, Rhode Island. And I think it was a combination with my experience before when I was working in Azores. I went to college there, I was a CPA there, and was a combination of experience, what I learned before and after when I came to the United States and had the opportunity to still working with the Portuguese community. And that's why we can have at least a better idea of the reality there and here. That's why we decided to start the Portugal Solutions, and we're here. One of the biggest things that we do, it's the citizenship. We do the both sides, the Portuguese one, then the American one. That's why we
want
to help our Portuguese community to become American. And that's why we like to work with the two countries.
Excellent, thank you. And Monique.
Hi, so we kind of fell into this whole situation in a backwards way. So my mom and I, we have an accounting firm here in Modesto, California, and probably 80% of our clientele is Portuguese. And being in Modesto, we're about an hour and a half from San Jose, San Francisco area where the consulate is in San Francisco. And of course, you know, a lot of the people who can do things like procurações and help with Portuguese citizenship, things like that, are all in the Bay Area. So a lot of our clients started coming to us asking for help with translations and things like that. So we started there. And then one of my employees, we hired her 5 or 6 years ago. Her sister actually works for Conservatoria in São Jorge. So we got our connections there as well. So it sort of evolved over the last probably 15 years, where we started doing just the powers of attorney, the procurações, and then we started taking on the citizenships and things like that. So we've, through my work with the Portuguese Fraternal Society, we made relationships with the consulates in San Francisco. So we have contacts there in their office. So it's kind of just sort of evolved. and learned a lot on the way. So it's really been a fascinating process. And we also do the other side as well. We help people. We joke that we're the Portuguese community center here in Modesto because people call us for everything. We help them with their American citizenships, their green cards, renewals. And, you know, I think a couple of weeks ago, somebody called and asked if we could book their tickets on SAPA. And that's kind of where I draw the line. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. We get a lot of questions about, you know, are there people that can help us? And so it's nice to know that on both the East and the West Coast, there are folks like yourself that are available to help. Couple other things. So a lot of the information that you will find here, that you'll hear today can also be found on the PALCUS website. If you go to resources, click on consular, and then there are links to Portugal Solutions and Marie B. Kelly, which is where Monique works. And then there's also a couple other places here in California that can help with that, with those services. So you can find direct links to their website there. But then also, if you scroll down a little bit, there are some links to Portuguese resources. So there is a place where you can register a complaint. So if you have a bad experience with someone or a consulate, unfortunately, you can register the complaint there. There's updated COVID info. And then we do get a lot of questions about how to look up documents online. And so ePortugal is where you would want to start there. I will say the website can be a little confusing. So we're going to try and have a webinar actually walking through the website at some point. But that is where you would look up documents, you know, birth certificates and things like that. Also, we are starting to take all the questions that we have answered in past webinars and put them here. So, you know, if you don't want to go listen to the entire webinar, we are posting them here on the website. And so you just keep scrolling down on that page and we have the questions there. And then finally, if you found this webinar, past webinars, or any of the information that we have provided useful, then we strongly encourage you to become a PALCUS member, because it is through membership support that we're able to continue doing these webinars and provide these resources and have a website that can direct you to the right places. So really encourage you to become a member. So thank you for those that already are members, and thank you to those who will become a member. All right. Let's jump in. So first question, once you are approved for citizenship, how do you get an identification card? So I don't know how we want to do this. Do you want to I'll take that, or, you know, whoever wants to take it?
Yeah, it's easier. I can start. You can, once you got approved, you just need to make an appointment and go to the consulate closest to your residence, and you need to go in person, take an ID card, an American driver license or American passport, since you're going to do for the first time. And the cash, the most part of the Portuguese consulates, they accept cash. And I think is around $25, and apply for the card. When you apply, you're going to receive at least 2 letters. One, just an information asking you to appoint a representative in Portugal, but it's not mandatory. You're going to decide if you want to do it or not. And the second letter comes 2-3 days after with the passwords, and it says that the card it's done and waiting for you to go in person to pick up the card.
2 things.
go ahead.
I was going to say, make sure you get a receipt for when you pay, right? And then secondly, I know we'll get the question, do you need an appointment to pick up the card?
I think the most part of the consulates, they don't ask for an appointment to pick up the card, just to do the card. Okay. Some of the consulates, they have appointments online. You can go online and make the appointment, but to pick up the card, I don't think you can go anytime. At least it's the information that they have on the website.
Okay. And Monique, you were going to say something?
Well, actually, it's good that we have representatives from both coasts, because the San Francisco consulate works a little different. So for most people who are not aware, the consulate in San Francisco actually represents the westernmost 13 states. So if you live anywhere west of the Mississippi, San Francisco is your consulate, is your consul. So I know from my experience, for those of you, those who cannot go to San Francisco, if you live in LA, it's an 8-hour drive. Then there are consular visits that will come to your hometown once a month. So I know that they come to Turlock, California. They go to LA, they go to Tulare. So it's good to find out where does the consular visit come to visit, and you can actually make an appointment in your hometown rather than having to travel to San Francisco. However, it's because they only come once a month. Sometimes you might have to wait even up to a year for an appointment. I know I just got my cartel citizen a few months ago, and I was lucky because my uncle had an appointment and he ended up not being able to go, so I took his appointment and went in his place.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. And with San Francisco, I would check to see if you need an appointment, because I understand that up until recently, they've been requiring appointments for everything. So, and they mailed me my cartel citizen. I didn't have to go. I thought I did receive that letter saying that it's at the consulate, you have to go pick it up. And then a week later, mine showed up in the mail. So I don't know if in California, maybe they're mailing because they understand that it's kind of a hardship.
You paid to get mailed. When you did,
No, I paid the 25 euros or $25 or whatever it was.
it would be this way. No, people need, yeah.
So I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know, maybe they like me. I don't know. Mine came in the mail.
Well, I will say in answering these questions and getting other responses, while there may be standard processes that all consulates are supposed to follow, it's pretty clear not all of them follow. Right. So unfortunately, it is a case-by-case basis. Okay. So
And
next,
that, I need to take pictures because this is always a question that they ask. I need to take some picture? No picture, nothing, just an identification and $25 in cash.
okay.
Yeah. And we should let people know that if you want your passport, you have to get your citizenship card first. And usually, at least here, you can't do it in the same appointment.
Okay. That's good to know. Really good to know. So you have to get your card first, and you have to have it physically in hand, and then go to the consulate with an appointment and to apply for a passport.
Yes.
Yeah. Only when you do the carton for the first time, because if you already have a carton, since it can be expired, but you can do both at the same time because you already got an ID number in Portugal. But doing the carton for the first time, you only will be able to do the carton and needs to make another appointment to go and do the passport.
Got it. Okay. Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right. My father was born in Portugal, divorced my mother, and has since passed away. What path makes sense to follow?
Well, I would say first thing first, go register that marriage.
So register her parents' marriage, and then she has to register the divorce, right?
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Yeah, if they don't have to do anything else in Portugal, it's just a marriage register there that doesn't have any impact.
Yeah.
But if they need to do something in Portugal, they need to register the divorce. And the divorce only can be done in Portugal through a Portuguese lawyer that is going to confirm a final decree or something that happened in the United States.
Yes. And for people who think, oh, well, they're never going to know. One thing that we've seen time and time again, what it says on the death certificate. So if you need to do partidas, if you get an inheritance or anything, if the death certificate says single and your parents are registered as married in Portugal, they will not register the death. So the divorce will have to be taken care of. But as you said, yes, if all you're doing is getting your citizenship, you don't have any properties there and nothing like that, then the divorce isn't necessarily necessary.
Okay. If I obtained citizenship through the Golden Visa program, how would they obtain citizenship for their children?
Sure.
Golden Visa program it's a difficult one. You can get citizenship for your children, for your spouse, and depending on the circumstance for your parents as well, if you've gotten citizenship through the Golden Visa program. The process to do that should be the same as getting citizenship through a parent. But Monique, I don't know if you have more experience with the Golden Visa program than we do. Our recommendation is always, when going through Golden Visa, speak to a Golden Visa program lawyer in Portugal. On our side,
Yeah.
we do the documents that need to be done, if any translations have to be done, if you need us to review the documents before they go out. But the specifics of the Golden Visa program, usually we try to stay as far away as we can.
Same here. I don't think in all the time people that have come through, we've never had anyone ask about the Golden Visa program. So, and if we did, I would have the same exact answer. Go get a lawyer that is.
Yeah,
So
there
is
are
there-
specific lawyers in Portugal that work with Golden Visa program, because the specifics they're going to depend on what kind of investment you want to do, how long you have had your citizenship through the Golden Visa program, if your citizenship has actually been approved, or if you're still in that like waiting period. So it's going to depend on all the specifics and all the details of that case.
And so is there a list of lawyers that handle Golden Visa program applicants? Is there like a website that kind of lists, here are all the people that are certified to help with that? Do you know?
I haven't seen one website that has a list of them. We have recommended a few clients to, I know Marcia's found a lawyer. There is one, if you actually look up Golden Visa program, there is a website for it, and it has a lawyer that always
Okay.
shows up there. But I've
Okay.
never seen like a page with a list of lawyers that do it. That would be nice if we could
Yeah.
find.
Yeah,
You have to start your own list.
maybe PALCUS.
Yeah, it's funny. We totally separate subject, and maybe this is another webinar, but we get a lot of requests for lawyers that handle different types of things in Portugal, but also know US law. So I guess call for, folks out there, if you know both the US and the Portuguese law system, then let us know, and we may put together some sort of list or something like that. So anyway, all right, moving on. My parents had their names Americanized when they came to the US, Maria Jose to Mary Jo. Is this an issue for the marriage certificate?
It can be. We see this a lot, born as Nelia, married as Nellie, born as Antonio, married as Tony. And our advice that we were given by 3 consulates ago now, was to have someone come in and have at least 2 affidavits from people that are well known to this individual to state that they know the person as, for example, Maria Jose and Mary Jo. And that's worked for us so far. I don't know if it's official or not, but so far they've accepted it. So
It is. And another thing, if you have other documents that you can prove that you came in to the United States with Maria Jose, and at some point your driver license, or when you became American, or when you apply for your social security number and they change names, this type of translation is not a problem especially when you're doing your marriage at the consulate, because they know the language, they know the procedures. It's different when you do it in Portugal at the conservatoria. Sometimes at the conservatoria, because it's Portugal, everything needs to be Portuguese. You have to have everything translated. Affidavit, it's a document you can have as attachment just have a reason to change names. But at the consulate, shouldn't be a problem. At least in Providence wasn't. I don't know at the time, but
yeah,
Maria Jose, Mary Jo, José para Joe, John for João, it doesn't make any sense. We know it's the same name.
right. Yeah, and that's true. At our consulate, it's the same thing. Is that we went through a period where in San Francisco for about 3 years, they weren't registering marriages at all. So we were having to go directly to Portugal to register marriages. And even now, I don't know what the waiting period is, but there were times the waiting period was 2 to 3 years. So we kind of learned to work around the consulate in a lot of ways. And, it's unfortunate, but
It's the reality sometimes, right? If you want to get things done.
Yeah.
So, okay, next question. My dad had Portuguese citizenship, born in the Azores, but gave it up when he started working for the US government. Can I still go through him, or should I go through my grandparents since all four were born in the Azores?
Sabrina.
It's gonna depend. You may have, so this is the funny thing about Portugal and the US. Sometimes we think we gave up our Portuguese citizenship because according to the US we did, but according to Portugal we didn't. So it's gonna depend on what it says on the birth certificate or the assent and the Usually there's gonna be something at the end that says whether or not a person did, get rid of, renounce their Portuguese citizenship. That's the easiest way we would be able to determine it. If not, and most likely he did not renounce his Portuguese citizenship, you would continue through your father.
Right.
There is a way that you can also, that he would be able to get his Portuguese citizenship. Again, it's not too difficult. Most of the time we see people did not get rid of that citizenship, but in the case that, he signed something to Portugal saying that he does not want to be a Portuguese citizen anymore, then we would be able to backtrack.
And where would you get that document? Would you go to that ePortugal site and try and look it up to start?
Yeah.
Or
The only thing that you need to do is apply for if they have a website, a civil online, you have to do the payment in euros, or you can contact the Portugal Solutions and we will be able to get everything online. We just need to apply for a birth certificate. And if nothing says there, you are Portuguese, because it's on civil registry in Portugal, they register everything that happened in your life. When you were born, when you got married, when someone died, when you got divorced, everything is registered in one document. That's the document that you need to get, and you can have at least sure if I'm still Portuguese or not. If you have an averbamento or an amendment that says you lost your Portuguese citizenship, okay, you have to apply. They have a specific process to apply for your Portuguese citizenship again. If nothing says there, it's okay. Just make an appointment and do your Portuguese ID card.
Yeah. That's a common thing that people think that when they became American, they gave up their citizenship. It could also be for instance, my dad was drafted during Vietnam and was a Portuguese citizen at the time. And he went to go travel to Portugal with his uniform on, and he was told that if you wear the uniform of another country, you automatically give up your Portuguese citizenship. So he thought,
oh my God,
I don't have a country. I'm not American. I'm not Portuguese. I'm nothing. And then much later on, found out, nope, nothing ever happened. That's just what he was told. But he retained his Portuguese citizenship. So
nothing happens because they have that Portuguese, and they change. That's what's Portuguese side. Because when they go and do the promessa to become Americans, they said, I'm renounce my Portuguese citizenship, and in their minds, okay, they lost. But this is Portugal just did the law and I think it was in 1982 that they change, and it's on part saying, okay, you can take another citizenship, but you're going to keep the Portuguese one.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay.
And people, they don't need to do anything unless they sign, they renounce, they have approved that they lost. If doesn't show at the on the birth certificate, it's okay. They're still Portuguese.
And if you wore your uniform, it doesn't really matter. That's a crazy story. All right. My parents were born in Portugal, have dual citizenship. I would like to get my citizenship as well, to get it for my 12-year-old twin boys. Does my husband need to be present for the application process like we had to do with their initial US passport as they are minors? I would think the answer is yes to that. I don't know if you can confirm that.
Yeah. As a minors, both of parents needs to give authorization to apply for dual citizenship. But she needs to get her first.
That's what I was just going to say, yeah.
She will be able to give to the kids.
Yeah, and if you're not, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, and if they're not in person, you can notarize. There's a form you can notarize where both parents have to sign giving permission. So he doesn't have to be there in person.
Okay. So for example, like if they lived in Arizona and have to go through the San Francisco consulate, when they send in their application, it can be notarized by both, but it has to be both parents.
Mhm.
Got it. And what does a giving permission look like? Just a letter saying, I am the parent of these children and I give my permission? What does
They have a
permission look like?
specific power of attorney. They have a draft for the power of attorney that needs to be done and signed by both parents.
It can be found on the consulate website. They usually have
Okay.
something. If you go through the specific thing says, giving citizenship to children, they will have the form that you can just print and download, or download
Okay.
and print.
Okay, great. Next question. Once I become a citizen, how fast can I register my non-Portuguese wife as a citizen?
Easy. So long as you have been married for 3 years, it's immediately.
Yeah, the
Now, is
application
that-
part is.
Yeah,
I was gonna
exactly.
say the application.
That's how
okay.
quickly you can
That's why.
start the process. Now, how
Yeah.
long it's going to take for her to be a citizen? It will go between, we always say 2 to 5 years is the general processing time that we're looking at. Could take
Yeah.
longer, not less than 2 years, but it could take a little bit longer.
Got it. So basically, if you get married and 2 months later, you try to submit an application for your non-Portuguese spouse, you will either get rejected or you'll be waiting for 2 years, get the rejection letter, and then have to start all over again. So
Yeah.
wait the 3 years is what you're saying, and then you can submit the application.
Exactly.
And per our previous webinar, there is some specific set of criteria that you have to meet for applying through a spouse, and that information can be found on the consulate websites.
Mhm.
Okay. How do you register your US marriage in Portugal? Pretty simple one. Figured I'd throw an easy one out there.
Oh, you just send it to the consulate, or if you're in a hurry, if you have a power of attorney in Portugal, you can make a procuração, naming giving that person special powers to register your marriage. Just have it translated into Portuguese and send the original with the county seal on it, and the apostille, and then it can be registered.
Is a specific application though, like a specific thing you fill out to say I'm registering this marriage?
Nope.
Okay. So, and that process again can be found on the consulate website.
Yes, if you're going through the consulate, they'll have they should have the information of where to mail it and how the price, because you usually do have to pay a fee if you do it through the consulate.
Got it. Okay. How much does it cost to get your citizenship? Now, I know that there's probably, it varies depending on which path you choose, but are there ranges? And this is just like documentation fees and application fees, not necessarily service fees, for example, from your companies. But so just like Portugal application fees, what's kind of the range that people can expect?
Typically, I guess it depends on the euro to dollar conversion. If you're doing it through the consulate and you're going through a parent, it's usually between 230, 260 euros. Again, dollars, sorry, that's going to depend on the euro to dollar conversion. I believe right now, when you send it directly to the conservatory, it's 250 euro. So that's generally the price.
And they have all the costs at the website on Conservatório dos Registros Centrais, because through parents you can pay at the consulate, but through grandparents and marriage you have to pay in euros to the Conservatory in Lisbon, and they accept credit cards and you pay in euros. But the amount is there. I think through grandparents it's 175 euros.
Yeah, through spouse, I think it's 250.
275. Yeah.
Okay.
But children under 18 are free.
Right.
If you're registering your children.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Who can translate documents from English to Portuguese?
A translator.
Well, there are certified translators, right? Like,
Yeah.
isn't there, you have to go through a certified translator, is that true?
Yeah.
No,
Technically,
Should be
no,
done,
but-
should be done by a translator, but should be certified by a notary public.
Who can
It needs to
understand
go with it.
Portuguese?
It's the notary
No.
public needs to have an active license and get an apostille on the translation.
Yeah, they don't need to understand Portuguese for that. They're just getting an apostille to verify that that's an actual seal from the county.
Okay. I was just thinking though, as far as, let's say somebody fills out their own application in Portuguese or gets it translated, or they do their own translation. What if the translation is wrong in some regard? Like there's, could it get rejected because once it gets to Portugal, they don't understand? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm just
It could.
having done some translation work, not myself, but reviewing it, and been told, that, well, that's not the right word. And it's really said this way, not that way. And so,
Yeah.
you
No,
want to be
definitely.
careful. Right.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're going to somebody who knows what they're doing, because I've heard of a case in Brazil where someone was applying for citizenship through their spouse and they had a criminal record. I want to say that it was like arson from when they were a teenager or something. And the translator put terrorism. And so their application was rejected. So you have to make sure that.
Right. Or I'm just thinking also like the difference between a actual Portuguese word and a Portuguese word, right? So
Yeah, also don't like do it on Google Translate, right? Just
yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
go to a certified translator or an actual translator that has a good reputation and knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with the divorce documents.
Oh yeah.
Can I get my grandparents' birth certificate online? One was born in Tondela and the other in Terceira. So I think yes, right? Through that ePortugal site, is that where they go?
Mhm.
Depends on how old the birth certificate is as well. You
Yeah.
can still get it online, but if it is after a certain point, you can't get it from the regular registro civil. You have to actually go through archives.
Mhm.
Do you know what
That
that is?
does look a little bit, it's more complicated to go through the archives because you really have to go through the years and the
The
specific
location.
location and try and find that name.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna have, Maria Batista. It's just gonna show up as Maria, and then you have to look at the parents' names and make sure that the dates match up and everything. So
Yeah,
That's
we
a
have
lot
a
of work.
contact in Terceira that will go to the archives for you, and I think it charges $25 or 25 euros to do it. Because we ran into that situation before where a client was trying to get her citizenship, and her grandmother had been born in 1899, and so he went to the archives and got it. So sometimes it's easier.
Yes. Do you know if it's anyone born before, let's say 1900, that would be the
think it's-
case?
I think it's 1912, isn't it?
I was
It's
gonna say 1911
1911.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
1911.
Okay. So if your grandparents or even your parents were born before 1912 or before 1911, then you likely cannot get their birth certificate online. You would have to go through somebody, either go to the archive yourself or hire somebody to do it for you who knows what they're looking for.
And
Yeah.
the archives are online as well. Or at least
Oh,
the
okay.
Korean ones are.
Yeah.
The Medata too.
Yeah.
Data,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but like she was saying, it's impossible because it's not indexed. And so you just have to like flip through every Maria and Antonio and João that was born in that year and hope you can read the handwriting. So it's time consuming.
All right. Once you become a dual citizen, is there anything that needs to be done annually, like taxes or anything like that?
Nope.
I mean, if you're
Only
not
if you make money there.
right, right. So, okay. So if you're living here in the States and you have no property over there, you don't have a business over there, anything like that, you just have dual citizenship, you're not paying any extra fees.
A
or
question
any-
a lot of people ask us as well, will my son get drafted if he becomes a
Oh.
Portuguese citizen into the Portuguese army? No, they're not going to get drafted. Sometimes people will receive a letter once the boys turn 18 saying that they would have to sign up for selective service, and they get nervous because they think that they'll be drafted if something happens. That's not the case. If you live in the US, all you would have to do is respond to that letter if you ever received it, saying, I do not live in Portugal, I don't work in Portugal, I live outside of the country and I live in the US.
Okay,
So,
good. Never heard that before, so that's good to know. My parents were born in Azores, but married in the US, so do I need their birth certificates?
Yes, for sure.
They should have any Portuguese ID. Probably they have an old bilhete de identidade or the old book with the black cover. It's okay because the consulate or the conservatory in Portugal, they will be able to have the birth certificate, the official birth certificate. They just need to have a proof of some Portuguese document.
Yeah, if you do it through the, well, that's if you do it through the consulate, but if you go straight to the registration prize, you need the birth certificate.
You can apply online.
Yeah, we usually get it online.
We
Yeah.
get it online and we complete the process, send it to Portugal.
Yeah. For those who are not tech savvy and want to do it themselves, they can also send, like you were saying, just a copy of cartão cidadão or something to the consulate, your nearest consulate, and they can get a birth certificate for you, but it'll take a couple months.
Probably minimum.
Just to let you know that online, you will be able to get a birth certificate in one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. My husband just got his Portuguese citizenship and I am staying in Portugal for 1 year. After how much time can I apply for citizenship as well through my spouse? So I think we actually addressed this earlier. So she can live in Portugal for a year, but she still has to wait the 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. I have a Portuguese birth document. It is the black book with signatures. Does this mean I already have the necessary documents?
Oh, it's a cédula.
Yeah.
No, you like we were saying before, you can use that to obtain your birth certificate, but they still need to pull one.
Unless you're asking if you have the necessary documents to, you're already a Portuguese citizen, so you don't really need anything unless you're gonna go get your Portuguese ID card. I guess that depends if you're asking if you have the necessary documents for your kids to become citizens or for you.
Yeah. Right. Oh, and a reminder that birth certificates expire after 6 months from Portugal. So if you've been sitting around with your mom's birth certificate for a couple of years, you need to get you can't use that one to apply for citizenship.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So what happens? So do you ever get into a situation where the timing is off, where, you know, you're waiting for other documentation and then you finally get your mom's birth certificate and then you mail it, but then the other stuff is outdated, and you know, because things are taking so long.
The only, I think we should clarify here, the 6 months, you will be able to use a Portuguese birth certificate that you print or they send it, you have to use it in 6 months. But if you use that birth certificate for a process of a marriage citizenship, doesn't matter if the services in Lisbon is going to take 3 years, they're not going to ask you to enter a new birth certificate in a process, because at the time you applied, everything was updated, everything was valid.
Right. I just meant, I meant for those, because I have seen situations where people start the process and then they got the birth certificate 2 years ago and now they're finally ready to apply. That's what I was, but you're right. That's a good clarification. Once you submit it, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you get it, you have 6 months to submit your application, right? Once it gets to Portugal, it doesn't matter when the documents expire because it's in Portugal. Okay. So person with the black book, you still need the actual birth certificate. Your black book doesn't count for application process. Filed all my paperwork needed for citizenship at the consulate, received a letter several months later stating that my paperwork was accepted and filed in Portugal. Wondering what my next step is. I have emailed and called the consulate with no response. We get a lot of this. I'm sure you guys do too.
Wait.
I don't know how it is in California, and over here in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, we tell people you just got to keep trying to contact the consulate, because unfortunately we cannot do the Portuguese ID card. It has to be the consulate that does it. So we just tell people to keep trying to get in contact, because you have to also confirm if you're citizenship is actually done? Did they send you a sentence she meant? Is that what the paperwork is that you received? But I don't know what it's like on the West Coast.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, same thing here. So, but once you submit your application, it's, people are surprised at how long it takes. It never used to take this long, but since about 2017, everybody's been applying for citizenship. So it's just made it take so much longer. So you just have to wait until you will get mailed something. So it's not like you just became, usually like I got my birth certificate in the mail one day, or you'll get some kind of a notification from them if you're missing something. And the consulate, once they send it off to Regis Centrais in Lisbon, they don't know what's going on with it after that. So it's like you'd have to contact Lisbon to find out what the status is of your application.
So I would also
in Rhode Island, just so you know, they do not send the birth certificates to people's houses. Depends on the consulate. We've seen, it seems like New Bedford does send the birth certificate when the process is complete. Maybe Boston does. Providence does not. So they usually reach out to the client directly. But if you ever have a question of the status of your citizenship and you did it through the consulate, let's say, our consulates will actually go and find the process and what's missing and whatever. At least over here they do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're probably ours technically could if they would ever. If it's better now, but there was a long time they weren't answering the phone or answering emails or literally anything so we just had to start doing things for ourselves.
So I will say a couple things. One, like you all said, just keep contacting the consulate, but folks, keep a record of every time you email them. Keep a copy of the email, log how many times you called and left a message, that sort of thing. And then, if you're really still not getting anywhere, there's the Livro de Reclamações. I totally butchered that word. Basically the complaint book, right? And you can file your complaint there. You can try sending it to us. Sometimes we have been able to help speed things along if we can contact the embassy. I can't guarantee anything though, but it does help if you have a record of, I've emailed 10 times, I've called 10 times, not getting any response. I just want a status update, that sort of thing. Even if the status update is, we have no update, right? But just a response is something that people are looking for. So keep record of all the times that you have reached out, I think is a good practice to get into.
Just one more information. When you do your citizenship process through the consulate, you have to contact the consulate and to check the status of your process. But when you send everything to Lisbon directly, especially when you apply through marriage or through grandparents, needs to be done in Lisbon, you will be able to have a password and you can check online the status of your process. They have 6 or 7 steps and you will be able to check, since they got in all the documents, until it's done. So it's another thing that you can apply online for a password to check once in a while your process.
And so that's how we've done it. And I will say that takes patience as well, because it's been a couple of years and we keep checking and still the same. It hasn't really moved. So you just pray for that day you log in and it's going to be different. It's going to have moved a little bit. So you just got to be patient. Okay. If I was born to a Portuguese mama and an American father on the Air Force Base in Terceira, I know that made me an automatic American citizen, but am I considered a Portuguese citizen also? If so, what documentation do I have or need?
That one's on you.
No, that's okay. For the person, just because he had a Portuguese mother and he was born in Terceira, if at that time they went to the civil registry, he has a Portuguese birth certificate there, and it's the proof that he's Portuguese. But if the parents, I don't know, if they never register, if he was born at the base, I don't know what he did. Probably he doesn't have any Portuguese registered, he's not Portuguese, and he will be able to apply through parents. But my advice is just send an email to the civil registry in Terceira with all your information, or go on Civil online and apply for a birth certificate. If they have a register there, it's going to show up.
Okay. Next one. Both my parents are deceased and were born in Portugal. I am a US citizen. I have my Portuguese identification card and my parents have left me property. Can I still complete this process?
Yes, you don't have to be a Portuguese citizen to inherit property from your parents. You just have to, first step is to register their death certificates with Portugal, and then you have to do uma obligação de herdeiros, which is where, you know, the property then gets transferred to the heirs. And that can be done at the consulate.
Yeah, I don't know if the Portuguese identification card is the Portuguese citizenship card or if it's the NIF card that they're referring to.
Maybe.
Regardless, you need an NIF number to get the property, even if you are a Portuguese citizen.
And then they should probably find a lawyer in Portugal, right, to help facilitate
Not necessarily.
property
really.
transfer. No. Okay.
No, it's not that the conservatory. It's pretty simple process. If everyone agrees and, you know, it's pretty clear cut as far as the siblings go, then it's a pretty simple process. There's not really necessary to involve a lawyer.
Okay.
The only complications we see sometimes are like because in order to get a NIF number, you need a driver's license, some type of identification. And if you're a woman and you've never been registered in Portugal, or let's say you have your Portuguese citizenship, but you're still single there, and now you have your married name on your driver's license, they're going to say, okay, well, you're married, so then you have to involve your spouse in the process on the procuração. So it's the only time.
Okay. My parents came to the US with 6 small children. We all gave up our citizenship to Portugal to become US citizens. How do I become a dual citizen? I'm visiting the Azores this summer. Is this something I can do in the Azores?
You're a citizen, probably.
Yeah.
So basically go to the website, look up your or apply for a birth certificate. And like you said, Marcia, if you are a citizen, you'll show up and you'll boom, in a day you'll get it, right?
Yeah. Or when she goes to the Azores, she could just go to the conservatoria and pull her birth certificate there and see right there. So.
Okay. My parents were married in the Azores. On the marriage certificate, my father's name is Honorato, and on all other documents, it's the American Horatio. The consulate wouldn't proceed any further. So how do I fix this?
It's a more complicated one.
It's not a perfect translation, but it's the only thing that he needs to do is just collect documents and prove to the consulate it's the same person. And at some point they change the name at any service here in the United States.
And so what if the consulate continues to reject? Do they try a different consulate? Do they go direct?
Yeah, they should have tried a different consulate, because they shouldn't, because it's one of the things that the consulate should do. It's see all the documents in the United States and provide an affidavit or a declaration and set that person as all the names sometimes show up 3 or 4 different names, but it's the consulate that will be able to provide as a support in all the documents and provide that document to Portugal. They shouldn't be a problem to the consulate.
Sometimes it's difficult. We've seen that in cases where, especially people immigrate here as young children, because let's say they're born with an Emirat, and then when they register in school, they already start with Horatio, and then all of their documents from then on are under Horatio. Then you might need the affidavit to go that way, because we have seen that before, where it's, you know, you literally don't have anything else, any other U.S. document that has your Portuguese name on it.
Right. Okay.
But you have that's why you have the other information. You can confirm it's the same person, because it's not only the name, it's the date of birth, it's the parent's name, it's the place of birth. You have a lot of information about the same person that it's the same.
You have that, but the American certificates are not the same. So if you have your school records and your naturalization, it doesn't sometimes, or your marriage certificate, sometimes they put the parents' Americanized names. And so we've just seen different situations where sometimes it is difficult to prove. It shouldn't be, but United States is interesting.
So either way, you just try and get the consulate, or it would have to be the consulate that provides the affidavit, right? There's no other entity that can provide an affidavit that it's the same name.
Can be
you just write out a letter, and then have it notarized.
No republic,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all they have to do is write a letter that says, I so-and-so have known this person for X number of years, and I have known them as both this name and that name. And if you get like 2 or 3 people
To do that?
mhm,
Okay, got it. And all those statements from those people have to be notarized.
yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay, I think that was the last actual question here. We do have about 10 minutes left, and so we have some questions coming in from Facebook and from Zoom. So let's take the Zoom ones first. I started the process for citizenship for my kids and submitted all paperwork required to Portugal Connect in January. Okay. And so basically they're being told that it's still behind because of COVID. So, I mean, essentially, yeah, things are just taking a really long time.
In January, if it's January of this year, that's actually not a long
It's January
Yeah,
2020.
no.
So
Yeah.
submitted everything in January 2020.
Depends on how they went about it. If it was through the consulate, I would say definitely check up on that. If that went to Lisbon, that's not a long time.
Right.
Taking
Yeah,
a very
that's 2
long time.
years. That's 2 years. That's, I think, the minimum wait time, right? We're saying it's 2 to 5 years.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to be Portuguese, you just got to learn patience. Starts here.
All right, let's see a few more. Yes, takes 2-3 years for approval. We've answered a lot of these already. Do I need to get my grandfather's and my grandmother's death certificates, my parents' divorce certificate too? I'm guessing if she's applying for citizenship through her grandfather.
We say
Yes.
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 So yeah, so she would need her grandfather's and grandmother's death certificates.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. What is the website for the archives? So we will post that in the comments on the Facebook, but then I think we'll also add that to the PALCUS website as soon as we can. But what's the name of the agency? The archives? So what would somebody go Google if they wanted to?
The biblioteca or something.
No, it's
It's-
in Azores, the archives, Biblioteca Pública de Ponta Delgada. She kept all the archives from Azores. And they have another one in the state. They have a different ones. I think it's better
Okay.
to collect all the correct websites, and you can publish.
Push
that.
that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
My mom was born in Terceira and received a Portuguese citizenship card, but is listed as single. She is married in the US. What is required for my brothers and I to become citizens? So I guess register the marriage in Portugal.
Register the marriage. Yes.
Okay. So that would change her status on her citizenship card as married then, right? She
She'll
should get a new card
She'll
and
have
just
to
say
get
married.
a new card, but yeah.
Got it. Okay. Question here, is cedula not the same as a birth certificate?
No.
What is a cedula?
The cedula is that little black
A
book
cedula?
that somebody that
Okay.
referred to in the previous question. That's a cedula. So it kind of like is your record of life, kind of what they do now on your birth certificate. So you were born on such and such day, this and happened. You carry this little book around.
But the cedula used to be the birth certificate
That's why
before
people-
they put everything electronic. But the cedula, it's the birth certificate. Before the year, I don't
It's
even
just-
know. But
Right.
it's the paper version, and they have the electronic one.
Okay.
Sir?
Yeah.
I have my Portuguese ID card. Is this enough proof for my babies to become citizens, or do I need to show a birth certificate?
Birth certificate. Somebody needs a birth certificate. So either you show that at the consulate and apply there, and then they can pull your birth certificate, or you have to pull a birth certificate and send it to Lisbon.
So the mom's birth certificate, she has to show it, even though she has the Portuguese ID card.
If she goes to the consulate, then because the birth certificate is like, the reason why it expires is because things get recorded on there. If you're married, if you're divorced, that gets recorded. If you die, that gets recorded on your birth certificate. So it's not like our American certificates that are just static and always stay the same. So if even if she has a citizenship card, she still has to either go to the consulate, show her citizenship card, and they can pull her birth certificate and start and apply, help her apply there. But yeah, so that should be enough if she goes to the consulate, I guess, short answer.
Okay. I think that's it for now, and we are coming up on the hour. So I'm just going to do one more plug here for PALCUS. If you found this webinar useful, enjoyable, it will be archived on our website as well as on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. And PALCUS membership starts at $50 a year, so quite affordable, and we really depend on membership support to keep going. We are a nonprofit, so please support your national organization and become a member. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so much to all of you for taking an hour of your day to answer all these questions. I feel like we're going to continue to get more and more questions. So maybe we'll have another one of these, you know, in a couple of months. But this is just immensely helpful because, like you said, Monique, so many people are wanting to get their citizenship these days, and there are so many unique situations that we get a lot of questions and we just don't know how to answer them. So going to the experts like yourselves is really, really helpful. And so again, you can find Portugal Solutions and Marie B. Kelly's websites on the PALCUS website, or you could just Google them, but they are listed on our consular resources page, and they are there to help you with your process. So with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and good luck, everybody out there getting your citizenship.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.